The Harris family stood frozen on their porch as officers closed in, unaware that every secret they had tried to hide was finally catching up to them. The town had always been known for its calm streets, friendly neighbors, and predictable routines. Nothing truly bad ever seemed to happen there, which is why the disappearance of the little girl struck so deeply. She had been seen that afternoon walking toward the nearby park with her small backpack bouncing against her shoulders. The sun was still up, and families filled the neighborhood, making it hard to believe that anything dangerous could occur in such a familiar place. Yet, as the hours passed, her absence grew heavier and more alarming. Her family reported her missing that evening, claiming they had no idea where she could have gone. Police officers arrived quickly, surveying the home, retracing her steps, and questioning everyone in sight. The search parties grew overnight, with volunteers calling out her name and combing through fields, trails, and abandoned structures. The entire community held its breath, hoping to find her safe, maybe scared, but alive. Despite the urgency, there was something unsettling about how the family behaved. They stood in front of cameras, giving statements that felt strangely controlled. Their faces showed worry, but their actions lacked the raw panic expected from parents of a missing child. Some neighbors whispered that they seemed too rehearsed, too focused on appearances rather than the frantic desperation that usually follows such a tragedy. As the days rolled on without a single clue, police began exploring darker possibilities. They checked security cameras along nearby streets, reviewed footage from the park, and searched homes with growing suspicion. Officers noticed that certain details from the family's statements didn't quite line up. The timing of events, the last known location, and even small descriptions seemed inconsistent. But without proof, all they could do was keep digging. The town's atmosphere shifted from worry to dread. School children walked in groups, parents locked their doors earlier, and conversations grew tense. The image of the little girl on missing posters stared back at them everywhere, on store windows, street poles, and the community board outside the local library. Her smile, once seen daily in the neighborhood, now served as a painful reminder of how quickly safety can shatter. By the end of the week, hope began to fade. The search area widened, but no trace of her seemed to exist. It was as if she had simply been swallowed by the world, leaving behind only rumors, rising fear, and the chilling possibility that she had never left the neighborhood at all. The discovery happened on a quiet morning when a jogger decided to take an unfamiliar route behind an old warehouse complex. The area was mostly ignored by locals due to its rundown appearance, but something about the stillness that day made the jogger slow down. Near a stack of discarded crates, a small, taped-up box sat oddly out of place. It wasn't dusty like the rest of the surroundings, and its edges looked freshly sealed. Curiosity turned into unease, and within minutes the jogger had called the police. Officers arrived quickly, and the moment they cut through the layers of tape, the atmosphere shifted from confusion to pure horror. Inside lay the missing girl, carefully wrapped in plastic and positioned with an unnatural precision. The box was no accident, it was a deliberate container meant to hide the truth. The news spread through the town in minutes, leaving residents in tears, disbelief, and anger. The hope people had held onto for days collapsed instantly. Forensic teams worked through the scene with slow, steady movements. Nothing about the box felt random. The tape used had a specific brand often sold in local home improvement stores. The plastic layers were neatly folded, almost as if someone had practiced doing it before. Tiny particles of household cleaner clung to the edges, suggesting the person who handled the box tried to remove traces of evidence. Even the fingerprints found on the tape, though smudged, showed partial patterns that experts could analyze. One unsettling detail stood out above the rest. Fibers inside the box matched those commonly found in residential homes. This meant the crime likely occurred somewhere familiar, somewhere normal, somewhere no one suspected. Investigators realized they were not dealing with a stranger lurking in the shadows, but someone who had access to the girl's personal life. The community reacted with a mix of grief and fear. Parents kept their children indoors. News stations gathered near the police department while reporters repeated the same chilling phrase, "The killer was likely someone close." Many struggled to accept that the danger they had imagined as something distant could actually be rooted within their own neighborhood. As the investigation deepened, the box became the center of every theory. Its careful preparation revealed a disturbing level of planning. Whoever placed the girl inside it didn't panic, they calculated. This single fact sent a new wave of dread through the town. If the crime was planned, then the killer had more to hide, and the truth that would soon unfold was far darker than anyone expected. Investigators turned their focus to the girl's family, starting with a detailed review of their routines, habits, and movements in the days before her disappearance. What began as standard procedure quickly shifted into something more alarming. Small inconsistencies appeared almost immediately. Different family members gave slightly different timelines, described events in conflicting ways, or avoided certain questions altogether. Police took note of every hesitation, every contradiction, understanding that small cracks often lead to bigger truths. As detectives dug deeper, they began uncovering fragments of the family's private life that had gone unnoticed by neighbors for years. Financial records revealed heavy debt and overdue payments, hidden behind the family's polite smiles and neat appearance. Internet searches from the Homes We Find network included disturbing topics, raising even more suspicion. Investigators also found deleted messages that hinted at growing tension within the household, messages that suggested arguments and resentment far beyond normal family disagreements. Old acquaintances were contacted, and their recollections painted an unexpected picture. Former neighbors whispered about strange behaviors they once dismissed as harmless. There had been sudden outbursts, unexplained injuries, and long periods where the girl seemed withdrawn. A few people admitted they always felt something was off, but could never identify exactly what. These silent warnings, ignored for years, now resurfaced as chilling clues. The deeper the investigation went, the more the family's perfect image unraveled. Detectives conducted a full search of the home, collecting fibers, cleaning supplies, and personal items that could link back to the box. Certain objects showed signs of being recently washed or scrubbed, despite not appearing dirty. A few stains found in the garage tested positive for substances that raised even more questions. Tension inside the police station grew as evidence slowly aligned. It became clear that the family's behavior after the girl vanished had been carefully calculated. Their public pleas for help, their organized search efforts, and their expressions of heartbreak began to look less like genuine emotion and more like an attempt to control the story. The town, once trusting and close-knit, found itself spiraling into suspicion. People who had shared dinners and celebrations with the family now felt betrayed, wondering how much they truly knew the people living next door. Each new revelation pushed investigators closer to a disturbing conclusion. The crime seemed to originate not from an unknown predator lurking in the shadows, but from within the very home meant to protect the girl. The arrests began before sunrise, when the streets were still empty and silent. Police vehicles rolled quietly toward the family's home, their lights off to avoid drawing attention. Officers moved with careful precision, positioning themselves around every exit. When the door finally opened, the family members were taken into custody one by one, their confusion and panic contrasting sharply with the calm confidence of the investigators who had spent days assembling an airtight case. The neighborhood woke to the shocking sight of the once respected household now surrounded by law enforcement. Inside the police station, the evidence was laid out in organized detail. Forensic reports linked cleaning products from the family's home to the tape and plastic used in the box. Fibers from their living room carpet matched samples found wrapped around the girl's body. The fingerprints smudged across the tape aligned with several family members, forming an undeniable trail. Even the internet history, with searches about hiding evidence and avoiding detection, formed another layer of incriminating proof. As investigators pieced together the timeline, a clearer picture of the crime emerged. It became evident that the girl had not been taken by a stranger. Instead, the tragedy had unfolded within the walls of her own home. What shocked the investigators most was the level of planning involved. Steps had been taken to clean the scene, prepare the box, and create a story that would mislead police and the public. Their public displays of concern were now seen as part of a crafted illusion meant to shield them from suspicion. When news of the arrest spread, the community reacted with disbelief and outrage. People gathered outside their homes, whispering to each other in disbelief. Many had shared friendly conversations with the family, attended gatherings together, and never once imagined anything so dark could happen behind their door. The sense of betrayal ran deep, turning the town's earlier grief into anger. Details released by authorities revealed even more troubling information. Records showed past incidents that had never been reported, signs of a household filled with stress, conflict, and hidden aggression. These overlooked warnings became a painful reminder of how easily danger can hide in plain sight. The case quickly drew national attention as reporters repeated the same disturbing phrase: the family had played a role in a crime that shocked the entire country. As the family members were led to their holding cells, investigators prepared for the next phase. The truth had begun to surface, but the full story was still far from complete. The most unsettling revelations were yet to come. The town struggled to regain its sense of normalcy in the weeks that followed the arrests. Streets that were once lively felt strangely quiet, as if the community itself had become unsure of how to move forward. Families locked their doors earlier, and children were kept within eyesight at all times. The tragic discovery of the girl and the shocking involvement of her own family had left a scar far deeper than anyone expected. It was no longer just a crime, it was a betrayal that shook the foundation of trust the town had once relied on. As the investigation continued, more details emerged in court documents, revealing the full extent of what had been happening inside the family's home. The authorities uncovered a long pattern of control, manipulation, and hidden conflict. The girl had lived in an environment filled with tension that no neighbor had ever suspected. Reports described moments where help could have been called, chances where intervention might have saved her, and yet each warning sign had slipped through unnoticed. These revelations weighed heavily on the community, creating a lingering sense of guilt among those who believed they should have seen something. The trials drew national and even international attention. News channels repeated every development, and online discussions turned the case into a symbol of how dangerous secrecy within a household can become. People from far beyond the town watched as the truth unfolded, horrified by how carefully the family had constructed a facade of normal life. As court proceedings continued, the public learned that the murder had not been a sudden act but the result of tensions and dark decisions that had been building for months. Even with the family members behind bars, the town found no immediate relief. The memory of the girl remained present in every corner: her school desk, the playground she once visited, the posters that had hung during the desperate search. A memorial was built near the park, decorated with flowers, photos, and handwritten notes. People visited often, not only to grieve but to reflect on the importance of paying attention to signs of trouble, even when they seemed small or unclear. In the months that followed, local authorities launched new programs focused on early detection of domestic problems, hoping to prevent similar tragedies. Counselors and community groups offered support to help residents process the trauma. Slowly, the town began to heal, but the case remained a haunting reminder of the hidden dangers that can exist behind a family's closed doors. The memory of the girl lived on, her story serving as a warning and a call for awareness. Though justice had been served, the shadow of the crime continued to linger, leaving behind a chapter the community would never forget.